And yes, I guess we're live. Welcome to our first podcast episode. I'm here with my lovely friend, Heather. Hello, Heather. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure, such an honor, to finally have the chance to have our very first podcast. And this is the first episode. I can't believe we're doing it. Like we've been thinking about it for ages. Like, how does it feel for you to have it here finally?
It feels like we've been ready for so long that we couldn't just hit the record button.
And I don't know what happened. Like, why have we been procrastinating for so long?
I didn't have my hair ready. I think that was.
The hair is the trouble. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And now I'm good to go.
Okay, now we have hair done, makeup done. Well, this is supposed to be a podcast, so you're not even supposed to be, worried with the makeup and hair or anything. But girls, yeah, that's how we work.
We're just bringing our A game to the people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's important.
Exactly. And then for our first podcast, I think, first of all, thank you everybody that's here with us live, being part of this special moment in our lives. And for the ones who are listening to it, welcome too. And there are so many people that follow me, Heather, that know you already. Of course, you're everywhere, especially our students, right? Because we have challenges for them. You also have, some videos that you send to them. Also, your audios, they're also in our course. So my students, they know you. But the ones that are not my students, they probably don't know you. So I want them to know who you are and why we are connected and why we love each other and why we're doing this. So tell us who you are, why we're doing this, Heather.
Why are we doing this? I think that Ina's mission in general to bring English to the people and the people to the world is ideal. And that's a message that I can get behind any day of the week. So I think we started doing audios way back in the beginning when you first had this idea. And over the years, we've just ended up doing more and more. And then this past February, I can't believe it.
This year.
I came to Brazil and visited for 2 weeks to really understand everything there's differences, but then there is like differences that you don't notice and you can't talk about. And so I had a little taste and I loved it. And you may not know this actually, but I've been working on my Duolingo.
I do.
And so I have a 35-day streak going.
Right. And how has it been so far?
It's hard. It's hard to learn another language. Anyways, so through all this, I've just fallen in love with the idea of Brazil and getting involved and helping students learn. And so Ina and I have decided to just do more together because we have a good laugh.
Yeah. And every time we chat and we have the chance to talk, it's always like 2, sometimes 3 hours chat. Like we cannot stop the conversation because we always have something else to talk about. And this is why I find interesting, because I felt like every time we were talking, I also felt at the end that, we should have recorded it, like this would be such a good content. Like, why we're not recording our conversation? So I thought, well, why don't we just have our normal conversations like as we usually do, like friends talking about stuff, and then we have they have the chance to follow the conversation and also practice their listening. But more than that, understand about our views about things. And this is why I think it's so sweet and special, this podcast with you, because it's about our relationship, our friendship, and our views of the world. We have so much to share. my experience, living in London for so long, and you also traveling and also having your experiences, even though you are a native speaker of English, like this is your mother tongue, you still had a great experience living abroad. It was also very intriguing for you, and I guess this is something special and needs to be shared. So this is why this needs to happen, and it's now official.
So we're here.
Yes, we are here. So, well, now they know why we're here and now why we really felt like doing this. Let's tell them a little bit how we met, because that was a quite interesting story too, and most people don't know, right?
It's a cold day in London.
Exactly. We were there, me and you. One of those moments, special moments where we meet people and things change forever.
Serendipitous moment, if you will.
How did you say?
Serendipitous.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. And sometimes I feel like, it's not always that you have the chance to meet people that you really connect with, like it's not random stuff. You do need to have some specific connections. And then when these connections happen, I feel like, we have to keep it going. Although we didn't really keep in touch too much for a while. We were mostly on Facebook and stuff. But once we were like, you know what? We have Skype. We have Zoom or so many different other tools. Why we're not using it? Then we came back to talk even more. But what? We met in 2009. So it's been 11 years. Can you imagine?
Lucky 11.
Was it 9 or 8? 2000.
I moved in 2008.
Oh, so it was even earlier. 2008 we met.
Yeah, because I met you at the very beginning.
It's true. So it's been 12 years already.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it, when we think about time? Like, come on, it can't be that much.
And in such a long distance relationship.
Exactly. Like, how come? How is that possible? But anyways, it was 2008. I was there working at Jigsaw, New Bond Street in London, and I was a deputy manager. I was assisting the manager, and you came in, and suddenly I saw those beautiful blue eyes, and I was like, oh my. And then, well, tell us what happened.
So I had gone to London with the intention of working at a pub. I thought that would be a great way to meet people. It would be easy money. What I didn't understand at the time, because I was naive and I did not do research, because the internet wasn't like, we didn't have internet on our phones at the time. And so I thought that I would make lots of money in tips. I thought that would be a great plan. In the UK, people don't tip after a meal. That's not a thing. And so I realized quickly that working at a pub was not going to be the way to go. And
so that's a thing in Canada? People tip after meals?
Yes. And it's at this point, people tip about 20% of the meal.
That's a lot.
I know. But the argument is that servers aren't paid minimum wage because they get tips. So they have to get tips to live. So it's a
fair enough
conversation that.
Yeah.
So I took my resume, printed it off, and I walked to the fanciest part of the city that I knew at that point. So I was maybe 3 months in. And so this was the street. And so I walked up to this huge building with fancy clothes in the front. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
I can see myself there.
I can do it. And so I took my resume in, and Ida was right there behind the till going, all right, we're going to call you later.
Yeah, I like you. I want to hear.
And she did.
Yeah, I did. I did feel, I have to trust my feelings more, because I know something, happens. Like I have a feeling that when things are going to work right. And it's funny because sometimes I have to remind myself that, because I remember so many different moments in my life that I had the feeling that, yeah, this is something good. And this was one of those moments. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was just so certain that you were going to be good at it. And then I brought your CV to my manager. I was like, hey, I found someone. I want her. Just call her. She needs to be here tomorrow. Just like giving him orders, you know. He was like, are you sure? Can you see her here, you know, around with customers going up and down? And just like, yeah, just call her. She's the one. And that's what we did. And then we hired you. And you stayed with us for a couple of months, right? How long did you stay at Jigsaw?
I was at Jigsaw until I left London.
Oh, for that long? So it was like, wow, a year or over a year?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. Wow, that was because you know what? I know why I have this feeling, because you went to another store and I went to another store. Then we missed a bit, you know, there's some moments like we were always together and then we went to different stores. So that's why I have this feeling.
Yep. And the fun part about that is so many of these Jigsaw stores you could walk to from each other. So
Yeah.
I was working at, I think it was
King's Road.
I was at King's Road. Could we walk to, no, because I would walk from Bond Street to St. Christopher's Place.
Oh, yeah.
We were there.
There was a walk distance. I remember we used to walk between like Covent Garden and St. Christopher's Place, obviously, and Argyle Street.
Oh, Argyle Street. I remember the numbers of the stores still too. Like,
come on. That's too much.
Anyway.
I remember the codes for the garments.
Yeah, 17 was pants, 18 was skirts, 10 was shirts. I remember the color codes too.
Do you remember the colors? 01 black.
Yep. Not only that, I remember the color codes from Hollister that I worked at when I was like 20.
That's something interesting too. Share with us a little bit, because you know that's a difficult store to enter. I mean, I don't know. Some people, they tell me that it's not easy to get into Hollister. Tell us about your experience there.
Oh, well, the truth is everything that you read. Like, they hire people strictly based on looks. And they may have changed since there's been lawsuits. But when I worked there, the guy that I lived with in London was a British friend from Canada. We went to university together. He and I worked at Hollister together.
But did you do this job in Canada or in London?
Canada.
Ah, okay. So this was in Canada. I thought this was in London. Okay, right. I was going to think, what a coincidence, you know?
No, Hollister there. And so you just walk around the mall, like looking for good looking people. And then you ask them if they want to come to a group interview. And so there's different levels of jobs. And so you're either a model, you're a part of the impact team, or you work overnight.
Right.
And the models were like the very, very pretty people who wear their bikini tops at the door.
Look at you.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
You didn't do that. Okay.
I was part of the impact team, which meant
clarify that, right?
It doesn't matter. To be fair, like, the models had an easier job, but I prefer to be folding something because it gives me something to do.
Sure.
And so you see those big T-shirt walls in Hollister, like, somebody did that.
Well,
and there's overnight people who are they're there when the store's closed, and they do a lot of folding as well.
And how was it? Tell us the difference between working at Hollister and working at Jigsaw. I know it's a big difference, but they probably don't know those brands. So
the difference is that Jigsaw is a high-end brand. And so it's going to be, the clientele comes in, they want service, you need to pay attention to what they want. And also with Jigsaw's particular selling model, you were constantly bringing them clothes in the fitting room.
Mm-hmm.
Hollister's model is a more laissez-faire, shall we say, where there's no one's going to help you, so don't ask. If you can't find your t-shirt size, leave.
But it's not cheap well. I mean,
no.
Of course, it's not like Jigsaw, and the quality of the garments are not the same, but still it's not cheap. So it's a quite rubbish sort of customer service, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a great business model. It's terrible for people, is what I would say for that one.
Great conclusion.
It's because it's a name brand, and there's a certain, ego filled.
Yeah, that's a way of them doing it. It wouldn't work at Jigsaw. It's like the customers are also so fancy and needy. I felt like they needed attention. I don't know. I had to be there all the time with them at the fitting room, giving them some praise and look at you at this suit. And it was interesting because at Jigsaw, I felt like I had loads of customers because we were at a touristic area there, like central London. So obviously mostly tourists, but even more than that, mostly Arabs. And I wasn't really aware that it would be like that. So this was a surprise for me. Lots of Arabs, lots of customers coming from Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and all those countries,
Bye.
and coming with hundreds of money, like really, really loaded and willing to spend. And, I could spot them after a while, like, she wants to spend some money. Let's give her some praise.
Yeah. But I also think that is their form of entertainment. I think a lot of, and especially the women who would come in, their husbands were doing business. They were just in London for a few days, and whatever reason, a lot of the times they had kids with them as well. So it feels like they needed a break.
True.
So I think that that's their luxury, is coming in and having someone just be super nice to them and telling them like, oh, you do look so great. This looks great. You're amazing. You're so great.
Get all the colors.
Yeah, get all the colors. And sometimes they do.
That's true. And it was funny because sometimes like they were coming with, I don't really know how to call that in English, that specific thing that they wear, all black, only eyes out.
I think it's a burqa.
Burqa. Okay, that's the same in Portuguese. I thought it was a specific name. Okay, burqa. That's what they wear. And then you don't know what's going on inside. Like, you don't know, like,
Okay.
You can only see eyes.
So this is what got me, because I never knew what people wore under there. And quite frankly, I didn't really think about it. And then when women would come in, they'd have their burqa, and then you'd see underneath these just gorgeous clothes, and they're so fabulous.
Honey, diamonds.
Oh,
Full of diamonds underneath.
Yeah, I see what's going on here. But that too, I used to work with a girl when I was at the University of Ottawa, and she wore just, I think, the headpiece and the body bit.
Yeah.
You can see her face, but irrelevant to the story.
Like a scarf. They only just take a scarf and do just like around the head.
Yeah, like a head wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was telling me one day, like, she was like, yeah, look what I have under here. And it was just jogging pants and a sweater. She's like, I slept in this last night.
Can go out with our pajamas and just so much easier. You know what? Sometimes I feel like I would have this opportunity.
She goes, you played yourself. Look what you're wearing.
Exactly. You can just go like pajamas, no makeup, and go, and live your life.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong. Like, but sometimes as well, like if depending on the person, when they go to the fitting rooms and then you're there helping them, and you see like good makeup, like you can see like, right, this is not ordinary average makeup. I can see
before YouTube tutorials on how to do all that
stuff. That's true. 12 years ago we didn't have that. And trust me, they were good at that. And you can see straight away when someone's wearing good makeup. That's first thing. Second, I have never had the chance of having like the opportunity to see people with so many diamonds. I didn't even know what carats were, at that time. You know what I mean? And then, just full of diamonds underneath. And I kept thinking like, why are they wearing this underneath? Nobody can see it. But obviously when they have the private time, I don't know exactly how it works when they are having their moments, but of course they take it out and then they hang out between themselves, right?
Mm-hmm. So and there were times when this would have been at the King's Road, because Yannick was the only man there and he was the manager. And so sometimes we would have groups of women come in and we would kick him out of the store And so they could do whatever they wanted freely. And so we'd let the kids run amok and whatever. And we'd have 3 or 4 in the fits. And it would be a lot of fun because they wanted to doll up and spend. And we're happy to get rid of the manager for half an hour.
Can you imagine? Just like take the manager from out of here and let's sell a bunch of shit here. Just don't mess it up. Because they don't feel comfortable with a man's presence, right? If they are going to take it out, men need to leave. So that was a good shot.
And it was so much more fun for us then, because then you don't have to pressure anybody into anything because he's not watching.
Exactly. Good for everybody.
Yeah, just
customers, staff, everybody's happy. Just go home.
Just go home. Yeah, all around win.
Exactly. Oh well, so that's how we met, basically at Jigsaw. Having a lot of fun. Playing girl stuff, and I did have some fun there. This was one of the funniest moments. Not funniest, but I did feel like I was, I was 23 at the time, or 22 or so, and meeting people from so many different countries. Not only the customers that were coming from everywhere, but also the staff. And I was really amazed about, this opportunity. And I really had that. This is one of the things that I really miss, when people ask me, do you miss London and stuff? I'm like, nah, I don't miss the weather. I don't really miss a few things, but having this environment, that I think only London can provide. You might have a chance to have a bit of that maybe in New York, but it's not the same. London is such a cosmopolitan city, and this mix of cultures. I think it's so enriching, for our lives. And I knew somehow that being there, even though I didn't have any idea about what was going on in my life for in the future, I did have some sort of certainty here in my heart that being there in that environment, that situation would be something that would be crucial, for what was coming. Did you feel the same? Did you feel that the experience was feeling sort of the same for you?
Yeah, everything you just said was exactly the same. Like, deciding to move to England was the easiest decision I ever made. A friend of mine said, hey, do you want to move to England with me? Or move to London with me? And I said, yeah, I do.
No hesitation.
Her boyfriend, the guy from Hollister, the British guy, was a travel agent at the time. And so he was able to, he used a different flight I had and jimmied a return flight. So my flight to move from Canada to London was $173.
$173? 173?
Most flights are about 800.
Right, that was ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
Like really, you would probably spend this on Amazon so easily.
Shut up. I know, but hey.
It's worth it. Come on. Yeah. A flight ticket. Yeah, just go for it. Why not,
And so they had found a flat for us, and so I had a place to stay, yada, yada, yada.
So it was very easy. Like you got a ticket for a very fair price and then the place to stay. So why would you say no?
I couldn't. There was literally no reason for me not to go.
Yeah.
And like a year or two before, another friend of mine had visited. She was in Glasgow in Scotland. No, Edinburgh in Scotland. And she was there for a semester. And 3 weeks in, she called and was like, I love it here. You'd love it. It's so much fun. All the boys have cute accents.
They do.
And so, like, my family is from Glasgow. And that's why my name's Heather. It's a Scottish flower. It's a whole thing.
Oh, I think I missed that. But anyways, continue.
Right. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go. And someone at that point had said to me, you'll never regret going. You may regret not going.
Perfect. It's a quote.
Yeah. And so I was like, okie dokie. And so I went to Scotland for a week and I adored it. And that's why so much easier for me to say yes to London because I was already like,
Yeah.
get me over the pond.
Yeah, and you had so many incentives as well from people that you know. So yeah, you probably built this expectation also.
You do. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is that the best parts about London are the people that you meet there. And so at the pub that I worked at, there was a mix of, British, Australian, quite a few Russians
Mm-hmm.
at that one location. And then when I went to Jigsaw, it was a completely different, like every single person was from a different country.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
at one point we had 2 Swedes and we were like, wow, this is crazy.
yeah. You know, one of my good friends in London was from Lithuania. I didn't even know this place existed.
Yeah, it's quite tiny.
Lithuania, really, I think it's 3 million people in that country. It's like 2 of my city here, or São Paulo is 20 million. It's like, what I'm saying. The whole country is 3 million. Yeah. And I found it fascinating. There was a girl as well at Jigsaw. She was from Bora Bora,
Oh, that's cool.
Can you imagine? Like, I was like thinking, I was asking her, how did you end up here? Like, what are you doing here? You came from these lost islands in the Pacific Ocean, and then what? And she was very intelligent. She was, I think she was doing her master's there. But anyways, what I felt was like, this opportunity to be around people from so many different countries that you don't even know it exists. It's such a privilege.
It's an absolute privilege.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Now go on. I want to hear you.
The bonus that I found at the time was when you meet all these people, generally in your 20s, like that's a good time to do it. But
yeah,
there's so many people everywhere. When you go to different countries, you know somebody there. So
exactly.
now if I want to go to Australia or New Zealand or whatever, I know people that are there. And because of technology, we're still in touch. And so you can really, you don't have to end your travels or your journeys when you leave that country, because you can still see anybody anywhere, like COVID aside.
Yeah, true. And the thing about not only being connected to friends everywhere, you have a plus because English is your mother tongue. So obviously you can connect with people everywhere because obviously you know English. And this is why I think it's so interesting that once we have this knowledge, once you have access to English, you can have the chance to meet people in a deeper way. Like you can really connect. I mean, if your English is not that good, okay, you might be able to have a simple conversation and stuff, but once you start developing it and being really committed to your learning process in the language, it's such a big word that opens up, and you have the chance to understand a bit more about their culture and really engage. And I felt that for me it was quite difficult at the beginning because I really felt like I wanted to connect to people. I wanted to know more about them. I was curious, but my English wasn't maybe good enough. I didn't really have enough vocabulary to express what I really was trying to say. And I think this was one of the things that motivated me to keep going with my studies because, I wanted to know more of you and so many other people. And yeah, this is like a must. Like, if you don't know English, like have this, bear in mind that you might be missing great opportunities to connect and to the business, to bring new technologies to your country. Who knows, you're gonna meet. But talking about English, yeah.
Who knows who you're gonna meet is a real thing that we should not forget to leave out there, because there's a whole world of like English people that are waiting to date you with your sexy accents.
Hello. Well, I'm married, but if you guys are free out there, remember, if you are available, well, there are so many interesting people around the world that speaks not only native English, but also different languages that you can connect in English. That's what happened to me, right? In my previous relationship, we were both like non-native speakers, but we were connecting in English. So who knows who we're going to meet, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We love it there.
But I think what is it's interesting also about learning a new language and connecting and stuff, it's that I had my experience from a non-native perspective, but you, as a native speaker, you also had your experience in talking to people with different accents, but not only accents, because obviously if you are in a different country, they have even different ways to express themselves or different vocabulary. So people that follow me, they pretty much know more or less about my experience, but we want to hear from a native speaker, so a Canadian coming from Canada and speaking Canadian English. Like, how was it for you to go to England and hear so many different accents? And did you have any culture shock or anything as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I just assumed that everything would be the same as it is here, but with cute accents. And I was just so wrong. And so the sentence that I picked up for people was, "Oh, sorry about that house, eh?" Because
How is it? How is that?
those are all the super Canadian words that we say different from Americans, especially in my region.
Okay.
Because the funniest thing was that most customers at Jigsaw would always ask me, "What part of America are you from?" And when they say it in their accent, "What part of America are you from?" And it, I was just like, "I'm Canadian."
Yeah.
I mean, and people are familiar with the States, that it doesn't have the best reputation all the time. And so obviously I prefer to be known as Canadian.
Honey, but trust me, for you, it's not that bad. For me, when I say I'm Brazilian, people start talking in Spanish with me.
Oh,
So
that sucks.
trust me, you are not in a bad situation. Like, might be worse, but at least it's English, like in Canada or in America, doesn't matter. People would just, pick a little bit of the accent. I don't really know how would you say, how can you make it, how can you tell someone is from Canada and someone's from America? Do you have any tips for us to kind of recognize that?
Yeah, listen for the word about. If they say about, they're Canadian.
A boot.
So
Come on.
that I had said before was, "Oh, sorry about that house, eh?" But when you say it with my just around the house, it would be, "Oh, sorry about that house, eh?"
That's very different. That's very different.
So those are some of the words to look for.
We never stop learning. And this is why I keep telling the students, guys, you never stop learning. Right, I'm fluent. Yes, I'm having a real conversation here with you right now. But it's still, there are specific things, little details that can be from specific areas. And I'll be always learning something new. It's not like, oh, you're going to learn from a certain period and then that's it. You're never going to learn anything else. It doesn't happen like that.
And the English language as it is right now is an ever-moving lexicon. So especially because of Twitter and because of texting, a lot of words are changing, things are getting shortened, we're abbreviating, and words change meaning over time. So things that meant something 5 years ago are different now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a meme that everyone has seen, and that's changed our opinion on this word. Or maybe there's a word that, the word retard, for example, is a word that we don't use anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will refer to it as the R word, but you just don't say it. And it's a word people use to indicate, it would have been mental illness at the time we used it, but we didn't know what mental illness was.
It's same like in Portuguese. We have the same. It's same way to spell it, just change maybe the end. And also the meaning, it's the same. You wouldn't really use it right now because I guess people are feeling a bit more concerned about, I don't know, bullying or even exposing the person to a bad situation or feeling not comfortable with their mental illness. So yeah, definitely, I think as society grows and people get more aware and expand their awareness and consciousness about things, they tend to think a bit more about their words. Not always, but I guess we are going that way as society.
Well,
I don't know how this feeling.
and especially if you if you look on Facebook, but please don't spend a lot of time there. There's a lot of discussion over words people are using. What is appropriate, what's not appropriate, what hurts people's feelings, what feels demeaning, you know. And I think that at some points, I think it can be a little too sensitive, because not everybody can pick up on this. Like, there's still communities with words that mean one thing, and then the rest of the world still thinks it means another thing.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't gotten out to where it needs to be yet.
So you better not go there. Like, you know, don't try words that you're not sure that, you know, where it's gonna go.
You
Don't
know,
try it.
most of the communication that you're going to want to do is in the general vicinity of words that we already know.
Yeah.
You know.
But what about the accents in England? Was it like difficult for you? And I remember you mentioned something you said to me once, some questions they were asking, I don't know, how are you, or what's wrong with you, or something like that. Was you were like, what? Like, is everything fine with me? Like, was something like that, right? I remember you mentioned it.
So in England, to how you say to the bone, in England they say, "Are you all right?"
Yeah, are you all right? That's right.
But it's when they say it quickly in their accent, it's basically "you all right?" You all right? In Canada, we say "what's up?" or "how are you?"
Yeah.
And so if someone here asks me if I'm all right, that means that something is wrong. Okay, it looks like I've been crying, maybe something's disheveled. Are you all right? Insinuates that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so on my first night out with my roommate and a bunch of his like childhood friends, they all came up to me and said, "Hey, you all right? You all right? Oh, you all right, love?" And I was like, "Oh no." And so I ran to the bathroom to be like, "Am I all right? Like, what's the issue here?" And so eventually someone came in and I was like, why do people keep asking me if I'm all right? And
did you ask that?
she was like, "Oh, that's just how we greet people." And I was like, oh. But like, in all the time that I had known my roommate, over a year,
Mm-hmm.
at least, not once had he ever said to me, "Oh, are you all right?" Like,
how could you know? And look how interesting it is, Heather, because you know, it's your own language. Like, you know English, you're supposed to, at least. Yeah, right? And then someone comes to you and asks you, "You're right. You are right." I mean, they're asking you if is everything okay, if you need something. I mean, are just like a normal greeting. Like, people ask you like in a open way, not necessarily they know how are you. We just say, "Oh, how are you?" It's just how we decided to greet people, right? But then I guess depending on maybe the intonation, like if I come to you and say, "Heather, come on, are you all right?" Like, if I seem worried, if I am looking, you know, like, what's wrong with you or something. You see, communication is all about, it's a whole bunch, you know, the whole thing.
it's
Not just about the translation or knowing word by word. It's all about intonation and the body movement and the context. So much going on, and you can easily misunderstand someone just because you are not used to use this kind of greetings to people, like, "You're right." And then I felt like it was so interesting when you told me this the first time, because like, yeah, like, it can be different. Imagine, like, maybe I'm Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, but maybe someone from Portugal, they might have something different as well. Oh, we have loads of differences, but what I'm saying is the same language. Oh, hi, cat. Oh, there's a cat there. He wants to come with us. Yeah. And yeah, like Portuguese from Brazil and from Portugal. Obviously, we have many differences. And I love when we can understand a bit about this as well. Like, you're Canadian, but in England, people might greet you in a different way.
Well, and it's also how people pronounce their vowels. because some of my first friends were Australian and from New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And so the girl from New Zealand always made me laugh because for whatever reason, in their accent, when she would say pen, like the writing tool, she would say pin. Hey, yeah, then
Where was she from? New Zealand. And so she said pin instead of pen.
Yeah, because that's how they pronounce their E's. So all the time she would be like, and then you go to pin. And I would be like, I don't have a pin. What do you need a pin for? She would say the writing thing. And so I would find her a pen. And so when she left that job, I had taken a safety pin and I glued a pin, like a pin to the pin. And so I was like, now you always have a pen.
Great show. Like I think she got the joke. Yeah.
Okay.
I met a guy once. He was working with us at Jigsaw in Covent Garden, and he was from Newcastle. You know, quite further top. I mean, close to Edinburgh, I think.
Okay.
And he was saying, "This is me bag," instead of my bag.
Oh, me. I know that's weird. It is a northern thing.
It is a northern thing. And I was like, this is me bag? What? And I was always making fun of it. And he knew I found it funny. And then whenever he had the chance to say me instead of my, he was kind of saying that. And I was fascinated by that. And then now when I'm watching series like Outlander, for example, you know, it's Scottish. They do say that, and I pay attention. I'm like, yeah, I know that one. But, you know, this is not something you would learn in an ordinary English class. Trust me, they would never teach you that.
No.
I just understood because I was like, maybe you didn't have the chance to meet someone from there.
No, I had a friend from Manchester, yep, who would talk about, oh, be this and be that. And I'm like, what? Gotta go and get my bag from the place. And you're like, oh, okay, sure.
Isn't it amazing? Like, that's weird. Is there anything else that was different for you that you noticed that for you would be like different for a Canadian? I have some here, but I want to hear from you.
I found that London was, although it's like it's a metropolitan, it's very busy. I found that people themselves were fairly laid back.
What do you mean laid back?
So I mean, like, one day I went to get on the tube and it was a Sunday morning and it was a beautiful day. And as you know, London doesn't always have the best summers.
Right.
And so we're all sat on the tube and everybody looks miserable. We're all just trying to go to work. And the speaker comes on and he says, sorry, everybody. We're just going to have to wait another like 15, 20 minutes. The conductor called in sick with a case of the sunshine blues. And
I remember you told me that. Yeah.
And everybody there just goes, ugh. Like, we're all glad that we didn't call in sick with the sunshine, you know, because we know the conductor's having a nice day with his friends.
And isn't it incredible that people would call in sick just because it's sunny?
Like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, this would happen in London, and I had an experience which was quite similar. That made me very surprised that I was working at Jigsaw head office at the time, so it was interesting because when it was during the winter, it was I don't know, around 9 o'clock. It would be like daytime because the daylight. Yeah. And around 3:30 or maybe 4 in the afternoon would be already dark. So if you are working in an office, you basically don't see the sun for a few months, right? Because when you get there, it's dark, and when you leave, it's dark again. So it was really hard for me, like really, really hard. But then during the summer, it's the opposite. Like really, really early, let's say maybe 5, it's already very bright. And then it's still daylight until like 10 p.m. like the longest. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my favorite days.
I know. And I felt like for English people, it was such a big thing because like at that day, specific day, we were at the office, and then it was a beautiful sunny day. Really, like it was so hot. I don't know. It was like something like 30 degrees, which is not usual for London.
Not for London, no.
Can you imagine? And they were like, come on, what are we doing here inside of this office? Like, there is a beautiful sunshine outside. And you know what they did? It was about, I don't know, after lunch, let's say 1, 2 o'clock. The manager, the CEO of the company, he came and he said, you know what? It's the, he bought, how call it, ice cream for everybody.
Aww.
Everybody got like ice cream, and then he said, you can go, just go to the park, just leave the office, you can come back tomorrow. And I was shocked. I was like, I had so much to do anyway, but I was like, what, you asking us to go home with our ice creams because it's sunny? It would never happen in Brazil, you know. It was shocking.
When you say it like that, you want us to go home early with our ice creams because it's sunny.
You know,
that's British people, you know. Fuck it, it's a nice day. Let's.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned a very, very, very interesting point, and it's true. It's totally true, and I'm sure anyone who had the chance to live a little bit in England, they would totally agree with us.
You know, and I find because that's not that doesn't happen here. And I will say what you've described about the early mornings and the sunshine.
Yeah.
That is Canada's years, you know.
So yeah, I think for you it's even harder.
So our winter, especially in Ottawa where I live, like it's going to start the days are going to start shortening, and it's going to get really cold for like 6 months.
So now September, how is it now?
We still have sunshine, but it's cold.
So you don't have all those sunny days as you were showing us in our Instagram stories anymore.
No. Well, no, actually this morning there was a pretty good sun. It had a cool funnel.
Nice.
Yes.
But now from now on, like September, October is going to start getting colder and colder. And then how short is the day? I mean, the daylight for you. How does it work?
So we change our clocks, I believe, on Halloween. So at the end of October, we'll set our clocks behind.
Behind, okay.
There's a little saying. It's spring forward and fall back.
Oh, right.
You
spring forward and fall back. Cool. I didn't know that. Well, we used to, but now our president decided we're not doing it anymore.
You know what? I'm on board with it. Shut it down.
Stop this.
I have to remember this stupid rhyme.
Just make our life easier. Yeah, but we used to. But I used to like it because the day would be longer. Now we don't really have that anymore. But anyways.
Because I think what happens after that, then it gets, because they shorten it, and say your day is like you work till 4 or 5, like it gets dark at maybe 3:30.
3:30 is already dark. And then in the morning, you have the sunlight when?
7:38.
Okay, yeah, very short day. Plus, if it's like really cold, like it's daylight, but then if you have lots of clouds and stuff, and it's still very dark, right? So I'm saying this because it's not like, oh, daylight, very sunny. It doesn't mean that. It just means more light.
Yeah, the sun is up, but
not necessarily you can see it.
No. Now, I will give the snow and sun some credit. On the days where there is no clouds, if you've got a clear blue sky and the sun, and you can see like a vast field of snow, it glistens.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Beautiful from the safety of a warm car or something.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like I have never had the chance to be in a beautiful scene like that. I've seen snow in London, but obviously not the same. It's like in Canada with those landscapes and stuff. It must be beautiful.
It is, especially if you leave the city in the wintertime, then things get beautiful because there's all kinds of evergreen trees that have snow on it, and there's still, you know, winter birds that are kicking around, and it echoes so much more because the snow is there. So there is beauty, just not in the city where it's slushy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it's the same in every big city. Trust me. Like São Paulo, for example, you saw a little bit of it, right? I mean, you can have sunny days there, but it's not the same when you are maybe in São Tomé, in the waterfall, or maybe in the beach or something. Cities are cities. You can find beauty, anywhere you are, unless you want it. But yeah, I find it interesting as well because you said once you were somewhere and there was a bear there and everybody was fine with it. I was like, excuse me? Remember? I was like, it's a bear. Like,
Yeah. Well,
well, I've never seen one, so I just like in the zoo, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
where my parents live, some would call it the middle of nowhere. It kind of is. The city or like quote unquote town they live in has a population of like 7.
Yeah, I find it so incredible. Like this
However,
city, or you cannot even call it a city. I don't know, village or this county.
yeah, county township maybe. Like
This county's got 7 people. Great. Yeah.
now it's building up, which I will say is kind of interesting because
We're having kids, right?
no, it's
People are coming.
people are coming.
Because
it's too far really to have kids living out there because you'll have to drive them into town every time you want to go somewhere, which I guess is still shorter than living in a big city, but that's the story. But people are coming up there to build. Something interesting that's come of COVID, actually, we'll take this another direction, is that a lot of people are moving out of cities into bigger family homes because they're working from home.
Right. I feel there's a big movement at the moment in my city because I've been looking for houses or lands to buy, and it's been a massive increase. Like people coming from São Paulo to my city because you saw yourself, it's not that far. It's like an hour and a half drive, but it's considered a big city. I think this city would have around average 200,000 people. So it's not that small, obviously.
No.
You still have facilities and stuff, and still are not too far from São Paulo. And there is a massive movement now of people coming from São Paulo because they can work from home. So what's the point of being a, gray city if you can be somewhere else, which is cheaper? It's cheaper to live here. You still can buy good houses for, half of the price you would pay there. And I feel it here. So I imagine this is happening everywhere, perhaps. Don't you think?
I think so. And I think good for us as people. I think that's so nice. I've always lived in a city and it's hustle and bustle, and I had to fight with my building this morning because they haven't opened any of the amenities yet and they don't have plans to, and blah blah blah, because people at city and this. And so I understand living outside of the city and just commuting in. If you have to go to work for a day or 2 a week, okay, I don't mind driving an hour once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I hate doing it every day, but it's a little trip. Okay, cool. I'll get a little coffee.
Yeah, but if you live in São Paulo, it's like average. People would have like at least hour and a half sometimes, maybe even more, commuting, even like 1 hour going, 1 hour coming back. And some people even more than that. So it's like common,
And not to mention Sao Paulo's rules about which license plates can drive on which days. I still have beef with that.
But this is because there are too many cars. They have to organize it.
And I believe it, sure, but also it's crazy.
I know, it is.
I hate it. I hate that.
I have to agree with you. You're totally right. But at the same time, because even my parents, they have 2 cars, like one for my mom and the other for my dad. If it's my mom's day for the end of the plate, they would just switch cars. So it's not gonna make that
nothing less. And what if both of your plates ended with the same number?
Then you have a problem.
Yeah,
that's a real issue.
So I take problems with that. Anyways, but I think having people leave the city and go into other places will alleviate that issue a little bit. Because now you'll only be driving to the city twice a week, but those are the days that you choose, not the days that your license plate says you can.
Yeah. And I think that sounds like a solution.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Your president know that I've come up with a plan for him.
Excuse me, I have here a suggestion for you. If you're not able to think for yourself, I don't know.
A Canadian who's got it all figured out.
What do you think? I mean, it's not that difficult to come up with this solution. You know what? Just give it a thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, well, you know this about the plates and everything because you came to Brazil February this year. Do you want to sum up and just tell us maybe how was your experience and what did you think? What caught your attention? I mean, you probably have a big list, but tell us a little bit about your experience here in Brazil. It was your first time in South America. Was it the place as you expected, or was it like very different? How was it for you?
I, much like my trip to England, did very little research before I came.
Right.
So there's a classic Heather move. And so I really didn't know what to expect. Right. I had packed and planned for sunny days, and it rained pretty much every day where I was in Sao Paulo. Yeah. We did a lot. We saw a lot. My problem was that I didn't know enough Portuguese to kind of grasp the little things.
Mm-hmm,
But at the end of the 2 weeks, I was able to like greet people, and then I would be able to tell them I don't speak Portuguese. And so we'd have our little intro sesh, and then I would see how their English is. And so in my mind, now stay with me because this sounds stupid, but everyone that I know from Brazil speaks English fairly well. So I assumed most people in Brazil spoke English like okay.
No,
and, no, that was ignorant of me. But I also, like, when I've traveled to Mexico and Cuba and other like Spanish speaking places, people there speaking English to you. But again, Heather not thinking, those people are used to tourists. And they generally know like the touristy stuff to say to you. Yeah,
no, if you go to very, very touristic places, they will probably speak English. I mean, even in São Paulo, depending on the restaurant you go, but it's not the same. I think Brazil is definitely not prepared to receive tourists because it's like, even if they speak English, they won't be able to have a very real and long conversation. It'll be just something like really simple, and that's sad because like how many people you could have met and connected in a deeper way, and missing opportunities.
Well, and that's why I'm working on Portuguese, so when I come back I can talk to people properly.
So let's do like this: you work on your Portuguese and I will work on teaching them English so we can meet halfway.
And that's a really fun way to learn because that's what we used to do a lot of. I know we would go sit and talk just at pubs after work. And then after too many drinks, you'd be like, I can't think in English anymore.
Yeah, because you have to be translating all the time. And what is interesting is that you were having a situation or an opportunity to see how difficult it is, for example, for Brazilians when they travel and they don't speak English. Everybody's speaking English, so this is the official language at the place. Let's say England, for example. Like you go there, everybody's talking in English.
Yeah.
And then if you go, you have your trip, but you don't speak the language, you won't really appreciate, all that the place can bring to you. Like you go to a museum, but then you are relying on someone to translate everything to you. Or if you have a tourist guide, he will be speaking in English, so you won't be able to actually understand what the tourist guide is saying about, the interesting pieces of the place, and so many other things. And I always say, if you have a experience like that, what happens? You come back to Brazil, and what are you going to talk about? Your shoppings, how cheap things were there, how safe it was, and how clean. This is what you talk about about your trip.
Yeah.
However, if you have English, if you have this chance to connect to people, when you come back to Brazil and people ask you, how was your trip? You're gonna say, how great it was, people you met, or how interesting it was, the story about the place, or the food, and why they eat that way. You see, your experience is much broader. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's much wider, because you are able to talk about meaningful things, and not only, oh yeah, I came back with loads of shopping, because we find that devices or gadgets are much cheaper abroad. So people come back. Yeah, if you go especially to United States, or many Brazilians go to Miami and places like that, because it's cheap to buy things there. So when they come back, they are like, oh, let's talk about what I bought. But how shallow, like it could have been much more interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's such a good point, is that you want to be able to go somewhere and connect with the people that you meet. And I think that was some of the best stuff that I found, especially when we would stay at hostels. I've traveled to Amsterdam and around, and you would be in a hostel with a bunch of other people. And like, English is the common language. And that's how you get to talk to other people. And that's how you find these connections where, somebody's sitting next to you and you're, doing whatever, drinking or whatever you're doing while you're traveling. Yeah. But you're able to just strike up that conversation of, hey, look at this, or whatever, that sports team, or kind of thing.
It's random. It's already something. It's already interesting. If you're traveling, you're so open, right? It's natural. You're traveling, you're open for experiences. So it's like having a conversation with someone at the bar or something. It would be just natural. So yes, don't miss opportunities, guys. Learn English. We are having here so many different opportunities to learn. We have our classes every Tuesday where we train our speaking. Now you can train here. You're listening with our conversation. You see, information is out there. If you really want to improve your English, things are there, but much more than that. What we want to bring to you in these conversations are, first, help you to practice your listening skills, but second, and more important, to bring you our point of view of things, like show you what we think about things, and how a real interaction works. Because this is another thing, right? When you learn a language, you learn little pieces, but a real conversation, there are many different things happening. But I really feel like this podcast, this idea, can come here. We can come here and show people the importance of being connected with different cultures and understanding their role in a global society. Right? Yeah. We are going to a different path now. I think globally, global citizens. Things are changing very, very fast, and you have to be able to adapt. Otherwise, you're in trouble. But much more than that, like adapting and understanding that information is going fast. And if we're able to have information from the source, right, go to whatever is available in English and connect to people straight away without any barriers, your life would be just so much easier. Things would flow much, much more. But understanding your role in the world, like, how can I share, how can I contribute, how can I connect, how can I see what's available in English and bring to my country. Like in our case in Brazil, okay, you have access to English. So if you are an engineer, if you are a dentist, if you are a lawyer, whatever is your role, right, your mission, just see what's going on in your field in English, have access to the information, and please bring us the news, bring us the innovation. We need to bring our country forward, but we're only going to be able to do that if Brazilians know English and go after information. And this is, one of the opportunities that we can see, that we are global citizens and we have our voice, and everybody matters and everybody has work to do. And I do hope that this conversation, that we have here every week can enhance a little bit this awareness. And to sum up, I'd like to know if anyone has any specific question for Heather. Just, I want to give them the opportunity as well to share and interact with us. Obviously, this is a podcast recording, but whoever is listening to us, you can be aware that you have the chance to interact with us live every Friday at 12:34. So if you want to come and join us every Friday, we will be live on YouTube talking about random stuff. You can see, guys, we start from one subject when we go to another. Very, very easy.
I can't help it.
We can help it. Now, I think now they can understand why we needed to do this, because this is how it goes. This is what happens when we get to talk to each other. So I don't know if there is any specific question that I missed.
We do need to mention that there is a replay. You can listen to this later.
That's true. Oh, here, Paulo. Teacher Ina, please ask her whether in London what she think about it. I think he wants to know about what you thought about their weather. We did talk a little bit about this, but do you want to give us any other hints about it?
Yeah. Basically, my main comparison between the weather in London and the weather here is that on cold days in Canada, no matter how cold it is, you can still you can run outside in a t-shirt to get something out of the mailbox and run back into your house. And then you go, brr, and then you're okay in a couple of minutes. In London, when you go outside and it's cold and you come inside, you feel like you're never going to be warm again.
So dramatic.
Listen. I felt that way because I'm used to the cold, I'm used to the minus 30, minus 40. We have wind chill. Okay, I can handle it. But that coldness gets into your bones. And I think it's because it is damp there.
I have a theory about it.
What do you got?
I'm not sure if the theory is correct, but it's my theory. Right. I felt like Britain is an island, right? Which means it will make the weather very unstable and very rainy. And I even think like in Ireland, I've never been there, but I guess this is why in Ireland is worse, because it's the island of the island, you see? So if you have the continent, it's more stable because you have more land, and the clouds or whatever, they can kind of stabilize it. And then you have more seasons. So I feel like not in different countries in Europe, you have 4 seasons pretty much spread. Like you have proper spring, proper summer. Like if it's winter, it's real winter. Let's say in Germany, in Poland, these places, like it's real snow, it's winter. But when it's summer, when it's summer, it's like you can go to the lake and swim, and it's good. It's good. If it's spring, you can see flowers everywhere. Like you can see the seasons very clear. Whether in London, you didn't even have this. You didn't really have this separation between seasons. And I guess this is why in Europe you have the continent, which makes things more stable weather. In London, you are in an island, and then it will be like more likely to have like rains and things coming from the ocean, Is this a good theory?
I think so.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does, because you're more at the whim of the sea when you're on an island, right? And that's why I think the weather is more the same. Whereas, because we're the same, Canada, we do get 4 seasons, very obviously. Yeah. Mine are just divided up a little bit funny because of where I live. But, you get 6 months of winter, 2 spring, 2 fall, 4 summer. Kind of. Is that's too many months, but you know what I mean.
I got it.
So I do think that I think you got something there with the island.
Yeah, island is very unstable. You see, it's what happens in the ocean. Like things are not stable because you don't have enough land to make the whole process go on properly. I don't know. This is what I figure out, because I did feel like in Europe things were more stable and the seasons were separated properly. Whether in England we didn't have that. And do you speak French?
Oh, a little bit. I can.
Yeah, because you have French in Canada, so I guess this is why he's asking you that.
Yeah, absolutely. So only like Quebec is the main French-speaking area, and then I live in Ottawa, so it is a bilingual city because it is where the Parliament is and the Prime Minister, etc. So, je parle français un peu.
Oui.
But I'm not very good.
Parlez-vous anglais?
Parlez-vous? Oui.
Well, that's the only thing I know, because well, this is another story, but just quickly, when I went to France, my friend, she taught me that, because she said, Ina, if you go and ask anyone anything in France, please start a conversation in French. So I was always like, bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur, and then just asking straight away, parlez-vous anglais? Like, do you speak English? And then if they did, I would continue the conversation in English. But there were sometimes they were like, nah, I don't want to speak to you because you want to speak in English. And it was fine. But this is a very real thing. Many people tell me that it does happen like that.
That's good advice. And I've thought about it because, like, because French people have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder about people speaking English to them right away, just because it's it's a smaller language.
Yeah.
English coming on it. Brazilian hospitality.
Oh, yeah. Remember to read the question for our podcast.
So Danielle asks, Heather, how about the Brazilian hospitality? It was great. Yeah.
Well, I was the host, so
yeah.
How was it, Heather?
Terrible. I hated every minute. No, she was fantastic. Everywhere I went, people fed me food.
And juice.
Juice is my favorite.
Absolutely. She was going crazy with our juices. And my sister, I have to tell you, my sister, she was shocked. She was like, Ina, she's so happy with the juices. And it's so interesting because we don't really give it the right value it has, like we have orange everywhere, so who cares, and every time we had like this machine, for fresh orange juices, you were like, I want it, please give me some orange juices. And it was interesting because I guess many Brazilians, we don't really, we take things for granted, we are humans, we always do whatever we are, but this thing with the juices, it was interesting. Yeah,
I'm glad I inspired her to really feel gratitude towards her juice.
Right. Last question here from Joyce. She's our student. And Joyce is asking, Joyce, your question should have been in English, but anyway, I can talk with you later. She's asking, ask Heather what place she would recommend us to go and to have an intern experience abroad, like in, how you call it? In English, when you have like an experience abroad, like as a student,
an exchange.
Yeah, a place we cannot miss it. Like we have to really, really visit. Any places you would recommend for that?
Do you think in the world or in Canada?
Well, she didn't mention, but so you are free to choose.
Okay, well, I would tell everyone to go to London at least once.
I always tell them that. I don't know why. Okay, you don't believe me, guys. So now Heather is here to affirm, to agree with me. So I tell you, just go to London. Go at least for, I don't know, a few weeks if you have the chance, a month, 2, whatever. If you have the chance, just please do it for yourself. Go to London. Yes,
for us.
It was good for us. It will be good for you. I mean, you can't go wrong. Come on. Unless the weather is a real issue for you, you can't go wrong.
And even I think you can go for like 6 months, even if you don't like the weather. And then you can suffer through any snow if you know you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where else should you go? I would say if you came to Canada, I would come to Ottawa, actually. It's a very beautiful city, and there's a lot that it has to offer. It's also in driving distance to Montreal, Toronto. There's the Thousand Islands that are around here that are absolutely stunning in the summer.
I really want to see it.
hmm And I mean, I haven't been to BC, but I also know Victoria and Tofino are some stunning places.
What is BC abbreviation for?
British Columbia.
Nice. Is it very far from where you are?
Yeah, that's our west coast. So that would be, it's maybe a 3-hour flight, but I think about a 7-day drive.
Okay. Wow.
In fact, in Canada, we decide distance in amount of time. So it's not miles or kilometers. Someone lives 4 hours away. And
4 hours away.
And then you say, but I can do it in 3.5.
Of course you can. You're a good driver. Well, I can see they are asking many nice questions here, and I think we can keep it for our next episode. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can see, guys, we can go from one topic to the other, just like that. And we always have something to talk about. And I would like you to make sure you come here and join us next Friday or every Friday at 12:34 for our next episode. Heather, how was it for you? Our first episode?
We made it. I think we
Yeah.
did okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a normal conversation we would have anyway. So why not give them the chance to hear it? And I hope they have enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, let us know if this is fun, if we're talking too much or too fast. I can go on for hours, so anything is fine with me.
Oh yeah, we can do it. So let us know in the comments, whatever comments you think it's appropriate or interesting for us to know. Any recommendations of topics you want to talk about? Plus, we didn't tell them, Heather, we still don't have a specific name for our podcast, so we're open for suggestions. Please leave it on the comments. I mean, we kept thinking, like, how would it be called? And I don't know, guys. You tell us. How should we call our conversations here? Should we have a specific name for our episodes? You have to tell us, because you are the ones hearing it. So leave us a comment. If you are watching it on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to keep an eye or an ear on our audios, make sure you follow us on inamara.com/podcast. Heather, thank you.
Ina, thank you.
It was lovely as usual.
So great to see you.
Yeah, I love to see your face and, feel your energy. And I really, really wish we were closer. You know that, but we have tools to keep us close. So I'm really, really happy to have the chance to share our friendship with my audience. I'm sure it's very special for them too, because first they can practice their listening skills, and second, they get to know a bit more about me and about you. And that's it. I will see you on our next episode then.
Oh, can't wait. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye then. I see you very soon. Mwah. Take care. Bye, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.